Hello and welcome. My name is Iana Lahi, and I am the founder and creative director of Spirit Gateways Institute. I created Spirit Gateways Institute to bring forth the Spirit Gateways 21st Century Liberation Roadmap for a global community. And you are invited to be in a global community of men and women who are committed to breaking through what's stopping, blocking, and preventing them from being fully who they truly are. It takes a lot of courage to be in the light of who you are. And in the Spirit Gateways Institute, you are given the practices and tools to have that happen. In this week's episode, we are going to dive into denial and ABR. I named ABR because it stands for abandoning or abandonment, betraying, betrayal, and rejecting or rejection. When you ABR yourself, you set into motion a paradigm, a way of living, a way of being that is a bypass, a sidetrack to who you really are. So many of the circumstances and challenges that you experience in your life are coming from the patterns of ABR. And I figured this out from working and having the great gift from the universe of working with many thousands of individuals. And I realized one day, a few decades ago, that everyone had the same pattern, including me, for sure. And that was to ABR ourselves. And all of us are trained to abandon, to betray, and to reject ourselves. So for a moment, just feel into a gift in yourself that you may have abandoned or turned against, a talent that you might have rejected. We normally ABR, abandon our true voice. We take on belief systems, dogmas. So all of us are trained to take on a way of thinking and perceiving, but not taught how to connect into the core essence of who we are. In the Spirit Gateways work, that's what happens. And in all the offerings in Spirit Gateways Institute, you get to literally, truly experience your old paradigm, step through into that new level of being one in yourself. And it's a real liberation. It's a real coming home into you. So when you abandon yourself, what happens is that you repress and shut down or sidestep from the truth of who you are. And we turn against ourselves when we are abandoning ourselves, and that's the act of betrayal. For instance, in a relationship, have you ever experienced not saying what you need in a conscious way so that you are heard? Perhaps underlying that dynamic, you haven't believed completely that what you feel and what your perceptions are important, that you have the right, that you have the worthiness of really creating a shift, a change, whether it's at work, whether it's in your family dynamic, in a primary intimate relationship. The way that you would communicate would reflect your relationship to yourself. If you are abandoning your truth voice that comes deeply from the root of your body, that first PowerPoint center. It's a space between your pubic bone and tailbone. It's really important in our human development. So when you feel like your survival is risky as a young child, meaning you feel vulnerable in your family structure, and you feel as though the you that wants to come through can't, because if it did, it would then be betrayed, possibly rejected. The voice within inside of yourself, that essence of you, wants to come through. When you love yourself, what that means is that you are embracing the part of you that had to hide, run away, shut down, or disappear. ABR is a big part of the Spirit Gateways journey. It gives you back the connection into you. And once you have that connection back into you, you're able to integrate your own personal spiritual truth and wisdom with the path of your life. When you are walking your soul path, meaning you're fulfilling what you're here to do, you can either do it through being disconnected from you or deeply connected. And those of you who can relate to this in the moment will feel that who you are is precious enough. Maybe you're just awakening and realizing the true essence of who you are. The beauty and the power, the infinite genius that's within inside of you is often pushed down, and we live in fear of being who we are. So for a moment, feel of a time in your life when you felt afraid to really be who you are. And feel into if it's safe inside of yourself, or if life feels safe for you to open the door to rejoin with you. In all of the experiences I've had working with clients, all of us abandon our true soul self very, very young. The whole terminology of your inner child can only go so far, because it's not like your inner child has to stay in that state of being the inner child with all of its emotional needs your whole life. When you abandon yourself, when you betray yourself, it's imprinted in your consciousness that that's an inner child that is now like that for the rest of your life. You meet your true self, your soul self, when you realize at the age you left yourself. So in the Spirit Gateways work, you get to reconnect with the source you, the real you, and nurture that, tend to it, embrace who you truly are, so that you can grow into being whole inside of yourself. So you will see yourself at the age that you left yourself. For some of the clients I've worked with, their true self is all the way in their infant self. I've worked with people where their true self was still in utero. There are other people where the true self, who you really are, never came in at birth, because your mom couldn't handle the energies of birth, couldn't really receive the level of soul that you are. And when we go through that rejection from the outside in, we create our whole belief system, our belief perspective based upon that dynamic of feeling rejected, feeling abandoned, and then feeling betrayed. So coming back into a relationship with ourself mends ABR. And then we're no longer living in denial. In this moment right now, just feeling your heart, because the heart is the compass. Your heart guides you, and your heart illuminates for you and with you what it is you're here to recognize. The whole purpose of coming into wholeness is so that you can have access to who you truly are, so that you can live as one, moving on your soul path. You came in with a soul destiny. You have a particular accomplishment that has to do with your soul moving to a next level of awakening and evolution. Your evolution is the opening of your relationship with you as you grow your relationship within yourself that mends those gaps, those splits, those inner separations that happen from abandoning you, betraying you, rejecting you. I worked with a young man many years ago, and we were doing a session, and he met his 13-year-old. He was in his late 20s, early 30s at that time. And when he got to see his inner young man, he shut down. And he was the first person I ever worked with who didn't want to meet himself. He said, "No, I can't do this." And I thought, wow, okay, that's okay. And I was able to witness and experience his life all the way into his 40s. And in his late 30s, early 40s, he started to really shut down. And he was in corporate world in Manhattan, and his marriage started to slip and slide. He became very dogmatic and controlling with his son, who was born extremely talented, one of those old souls who comes in here to become who he really is, become his true self. And he was able to have a career as a teenager in opera in Manhattan. So his father became anti-creativity, very, very stubborn and insisting that his son be a certain way. What happened is then he got really depressed, and in his early 40s he went on medications that he stayed on for many years, which shut down his access to his emotions, because his path was really truly to awaken into himself. His wife was doing the awakening work into who she is, to be anchored, and he slipped. And when the marriage ended, his son, who was then 16, told him to leave. His son had stepped into his truth. So what his dad was really all about was his dad was a creative, and he had abandoned his own creative life energies and fit himself into a corporate box. And he so needed to be recognized. He so needed approval that when he became CEO of a startup, it was all about getting attention and being recognized. Yet he could never get through that place where he could stay with the company and really grow the company, because he had abandoned that creative genius spark in himself, his son opened to his creative genius and stayed with it through the guidance of his mother. So yes, there was a divorce. That happened. And the son grew through it into his manhood, and his dad shrunk into not being able to make a living. What happens when we abandon the truth in ourselves, the being, the true presence of who we are, is that we leave the God gift, the true essence of who we are. So when you take the time to meet yourself, the true you that might feel shy, when the people I work with meet their true self, they're usually blown away at the level of light that's inside of themselves. Sometimes when you meet yourself, your inner self is crying. All the thousands of people that I've worked with, every single person has said the same thing when they meet their true self. Their true self says, I've been waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And so that continues the healing journey of forgiving yourself for leaving yourself, for ABRing, abandoning, betraying, and rejecting yourself. When you come back to you, the world inside of you opens. You are able to see clearly. You're able to follow your life path, and you don't want to leave yourself anymore. So this is a choice point. And in Spirit Gateways, I guide you through your choice points so that you are empowered to be you. And I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the Evolutionary Empowerment Global Village in the link below, and you'll receive a free PDF. And it goes into the source codes so that you can learn about your source code that you came into this lifetime with, and also receive a 52-week video series that's delivered into your inbox every Saturday morning called Living from Your Wild Heart. And it has a meditation, a movement, and a teaching in it that supports your life each week to be magnetic and strong. And during these times, we all need that. We need the practices and the insights of how to really come from ourselves, not just take on another practice, not just take on a hopeful affirmation, but when you're integrated and reconnected back in, you are literally rewired into the source within you. And that's my joy to share with you. And I invite you to just show up for yourself, and inviting you into the community of Spirit Gateways, the Evolutionary Empowerment Global Village, and I'm really glad you're here. So I've created immersion courses, a course for couples, a course for men, women, a group mentoring program that's called Tribe Transformation, where you get to be in a Master Heart Mastermind group mentoring experience. There's also professional certification programs that include Be Light, meditation, and Real Deal healers. And my heart is here with the planet, with every one of you, to inspire you and to support you to enter into or develop further or to master your levels of being integrated within yourself. If you received something from this email, please like and subscribe, and always holding you in love. Until next time, thanks for being here.